Please listen up to the following announcements. Please make sure that your mask is worn at all times. It must cover your mouth and your nose. Please make sure during the COVID concern we will not be singing any songs. We have Westerford's very own soloists that will be singing the national anthem and the school song for us. Please make sure that there will be no announcements and we will follow the program as is. Please would you stand as we welcome the stage party. Please could you remain standing as we welcome our old Westerfordians, notably the matric class of 1972, who will be celebrating their 50th year reunion. standing as we listen to the bell that will be rung. You may be seated. Thank you.
Today we recall with pride and gratitude the years since the founding of Westerford High School near the site in 1953. We welcome you to the service. Welcome to our special guests, to the academic staff, the support staff, the ground staff, and Old Westerfordians, particularly the class of 1972, as they celebrate their 50th reunion. We are indeed very honoured and privileged to have so many with us this morning. Welcome to every pupil at the school, and especially to those who are with us for the first time. Today, we honour those who founded the school, and whose foresight, vision, and commitment served to lay so fine a foundation. Amongst their numbers were the founding headmaster and his wife, Noel and Muriel Taylor, the first teachers, parents, school committee members, PTA members, ground staff, cleaners, and the pupils of 1953. In the intervening years, there have been many who, by virtue of that same vision and commitment, have continued to contribute to the school, to its glorious educational record, academic, cultural, social, sporting, and ethical, and to all for which it stood in its historic morn, and for which it still stands in the community today. In remembering our founders, we are equally mindful of those who are no longer with us. Today I would like to request that we observe a small moment of silence in honour and respect of all Old Westerfordians who have passed away since our last Founders Day in 2020. Just for a couple of seconds, let's bow our heads and remember. Thank you.
At Westerford our deeds declare the earnest of our cherished aims. Naught but the best shall be our goal, our watchword pledged in life's great game. So shall our fine traditions tell of the laurels won and keenest fight, with eyes undimmed, clean hands at heart, by those who dare defend the right.
Love Poem for My Country by Sandile King. My country is for love, so say its valleys, where ancient rivers flow, the full circle of life, under the proud eye of birds adorning the sky. My country is for peace, so says the veldt, where reptiles caress its surface with elegant motions, glittering in their pride. My country is for joy, so talk the mountains, with baboons hopping from boulder to boulder in the majestic delight of cliffs and peaks. My country is for health and wealth See the blue of the sea, and beneath the jewels of fish, deep under the bowels of soil, hear the golden voice of a miner's praise for my country. My country is for unity. Feel the millions, see their passion. Their hands are joined together. There is hope in their eyes. We shall celebrate.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the entire school community, I would like to express appreciation for the school and all who work in it. We appreciate the opportunities that Westerford provides for each of us and for the rich heritage established by the generations that came before us. Conscious, though, of the inequalities of our past history and the need to build an equitable society. We acknowledge especially the vision of the founders of our school and the work and example of all old Westerfordians. We commit to continue to work together for the good of our school and our country and for the happiness of all who work here. We will continue to support and defend the Constitution of South Africa. We will work to heal the divisions of the past and contribute towards an inclusive, non-racial, non-sexist society based on democratic values, environmental and social justice. And we will strive to build a united South Africa that takes up its rightful place in the family of nations. May God bless Africa. Nkosi sikelele Afrika. Morena boloka sichaba sahesu. God seën Afrika. Thank you.
The history of the founding of Westerford. Westerford owes its origins to the growing need for secondary schooling in the southern suburbs in the 1950s. The school was opened on the 21st of January 1953 in temporary premises in Dean Street. During the second term of that year, the 29 members of the founding class, amidst great excitement, carried their desks down Dean Street and into the Klein Westerford estate, where classrooms were fashioned in the old homestead. The school is one of the most beautiful in the country and consisted at that time of a large tract of vacant land with a rambling single-storied house and a dilapidated old coach house. The site is a historic one. In pre-colonial times, it was a wooded mountainside where wild animals roamed in the forests and fynbos. The nearby banks of the Lesbic River offered water and grazing to the Khoikhoi. The arrival of colonists brought changes to the site, not all of which were beneficial to either the environment or the Khoikhoi, but the site became firstly a productive farm and then a gracious homestead. A reminder of this past is the Westerford outspan in front of the school, where travellers outspan their animals and allowed them to graze and drink before crossing the Lesbic River at the ford at the bottom of Dean Street. When the present school buildings were constructed, great pains were taken to preserve the chestnut trees, which date back to the 1600s and stand as symbols of strength and character that is now associated with Westerford. The beauty of the site, with the magnificent view of Devil's Peak, inspired the design of the emblem and school colours. Mr. Noel Taylor, who served as the headmaster from July 1953 until 1976, was a man of great vision who was fired with enthusiasm for Westerford. He, along with his wife and the other founders of Westerford, believed that the school would develop from these humble beginnings into a magnificent institution commanding respect far beyond the bounds of the Cape Peninsula. Today, the staff and pupils who have followed the founders endeavoured to translate this belief into reality. I would now like to invite Ms. Tessa Kraft of the class of 1972 to address the school.
The idea of a Founders' Day leads somewhat obviously to the thought of what it was the school was founded on, its physical aspect and its values. the hopes and dreams of those who founded it. The class of 72 actually knew those founders. Noel Taylor, a visionary educationalist, well ahead of his time, and his loyal wife, Muriel. Muriel wrote the original school song in Westerford's historic morn. She did, of course, also design the original school uniform, and the badge with its tree emblazoned on the chest pocket of the maroon blazer, worn by every Westerfordian pupil since its founding day. Interesting. A tree worn over the heart. And trees are such good metaphors for so many things. Feet firmly in the ground and head in the sky is a good way to be in the world, grounded but able to dream. A fine idea. At a physical level, the idea of a tree to be worn over the heart may have come from the extraordinarily beautiful grounds that Westerford sits in, with its many beautiful trees. Mostly exotic, they represent the idea of their time, that of trees from around the world in one garden. A good education, while having a special regard for indigenous knowledge, must also come from ideas from the four corners of the world. Plane trees, oak trees, and my absolute favourite, the community of chestnut trees in the Chestnut Grove. It turns out that there is a reason the trees talk to each other, and there's now scientific evidence that shows that trees communicate. The Chestnut Grove was much more romantic in those days, and it was no coincidence then that it was in the Chestnut Grove that I had my first opportunity to communicate with other new Westerfordians, as the introduction to newcomers to the school was always a braai under the canopy of this community of trees. Welding trees to the idea of Westerford right from the start. Later, my class of 72 did Shakespeare's Macbeth as a set book, and the production was, as you may guess, in the Chestnut Grove. I was one of 3 witches, casting spells furiously in the opening scene as we stirred the cauldron and peered into the future. When shall we 3 meet again in thunder, lightning, or rain? We inquired of each other. Turns out the answer is now, as my fellow witches, Linda and Anne, are both with me today. Life, like the branches of trees, works in strange and interconnected patterns. I thought I would do some research on trees and decided to interview a Newlands neighbour of the school, who also runs an outstanding organisation called Tree Keepers. I asked the highly regarded guardian of Cape Town's trees, Claire Burgess, why she liked trees. I like roots, she said firmly, and trees have roots. My education at Westerford has of course been my roots and will be all of your roots, and jolly good roots they are too. As Westerford itself has grown into a sort of champion tree with deep roots and a broad canopy for all of us who have grown up under it. There really are such trees as champion trees, Claire of Tree Keepers tells me. Trees that are exceptional and are now regarded as living treasures. In the world of schools, Westerford has become a living treasure amongst South African schools. Its hard-working, talented and dedicated teachers and the support team around them have been the collective champions that have made it so. Nil nisi optimum, or nothing but the best, as the school motto has always said. And the tree that Muriel used as Westerford's symbol? Claire of Tree Keepers had this to say about tree symbolism. Well, I think again, it harkens back to the fact that as humans we evolved from the forest, so that the tree is the essential element that we had to get to know really well, and we probably put a lot of symbolism into it. And then the religions of the world that started to manifest from our evolution took that symbol, the tree of life. Dear Westerfordians, make the tree of life a tree for life. When you leave the school, you will no longer wear the tree emblazoned on your heart. Instead, carry the idea of a tree always in your heart. It will help you to be happy. And hats off to Noel and Muriel Taylor for this extraordinary institution that they have founded.
Thank you, Ms. Croft. It's always really interesting to hear about a past pupil's experience and to compare Westerford then to Westerford now. You're right, our school's badge carries a beautiful meaning, and I hope it will inspire Westerfords going forward. Thank you for giving us such beautiful words.
The Nil-Nissi Optimum Award is an award made by the school to an old Westerfordian who has brought honour to Westerford through their service to the broader community. Our first recipient, Mr. Saul Cornick, is unfortunately not able to be here today. He is in Johannesburg and will be watching a recording of our assembly. Mr. Saul Cornick, head prefect of Westerford in 1995, has in numerous ways been instrumental in improving healthcare services to very poorly resourced communities throughout Africa, thereby positively impacting the lives of millions of people. Saul has a varied background ranging from healthcare to technology, to finance, to machine learning, to culture change. His qualifications include Bachelor of Business Science with honours in finance, Bachelor of Commerce with honours in accounting, Master of Commerce in machine learning. He's a chartered accountant and a chartered financial analyst. In 2006, at the age of just 29, Saul co-founded Africa Health Placements, AHP, an organisation that works to get doctors to where they are needed most and to make them effective when they are there through improving their clinical skills, their ability to fix systems, and through their resilience in tough working conditions. During his time, AHP placed over 4,200 doctors who served over 34 million people, mostly in rural Africa, in public service. He served as CEO of AHP until the end of 2017 and now serves as chairman. HealthForce, another organisation which Saul co-founded and the one of which he is currently CEO, is a health tech company that turns nurse-led clinics into effective specialist health centres through smart algorithms, easily connecting those health centres to remote doctors. HealthForce sets nurses up, as well as other primary healthcare workers, as the single low-cost entry point into the healthcare system. It effectively manages workflow for disease management across multidisciplinary teams, including providing real-time video connections between nurse clinics and other more highly skilled practitioners, such as GPs and specialists. The technology reduces care costs, increases access and convenience, and monitors and maintains clinical and patient-centric quality. HealthForce supported nurses have run over 1.5 million consultations and have completed over 135,000 telemedicine consultations with remote doctors. Saul is also the recent founder of Kenna Health, a health tech company that is bringing low-cost, team-based healthcare to the underserved through smartphone usage. Amongst the numerous awards he has received, he was a Yale World Fellow of 2013 and a 2008 Archbishop Desmond Tutu Leadership Fellow. As someone who has used his knowledge and skills to set up systems which serve those far too often deprived of the right to quality healthcare, Mr. Saul Cornick is a worthy recipient of the school's Nil Nisi Optimum Award. Let's applaud Mr. Cornick in his absence.
Greetings everyone, my name is Saul Cornick. I matriculated from Westerford in 1995, at a time when we still used to use pencils to rewind some of our music, for those who know what I'm talking about. I was fortunate, I really loved school. In retrospect, it was a place of play with all the diversity that Westerford could bring, and with all the diversity of the kinds of people who were there. So many things to opt into, so much means over ends, so much space for imagination, so many places to get into your flow. I still have hobbies and play sports and actually have so many friends from those days. I really feel very fortunate. An award is an award. At Healthforce, my company, we're solving a problem worth solving. We're doing something worth taking a risk to try and solve. The problem is that the high cost of access to quality healthcare is a barrier to access for the vast majority of South Africans, and in fact for the vast majority of people across the continent. We feel like we have a very solid strategy to try and tackle this problem. And we've got a team of experts who are low on ego, who all really love to learn, and who are really passionate about solving this problem together. What we're doing looks a little bit different, because we're reimagining the way things could look from first principles, rather than replicating the old world in new technology. The world is fundamentally changing. It's changing away from this industrial age of training a society of factory or line workers who are fixed to a location and are controlled ultimately by monolithic institutions. So many people are trying to push the boundaries here and empowering the creation of a new world that doesn't have to look the way it's looked over the last 250 years. And yet so many more people are being excluded from that new world, and increasingly so. A problem to be solved. Nevertheless, what an exciting time to be a human being, an exciting time to be setting up society for this new era. So work hard and have fun, everyone. Try to do the right work in the world and on yourself. And Nil Nisi Opium.
Right, can we give Mr. Cornick a round of applause for his presentation? Okay, I'm going to address Mr. Saul Cornick. I just want to thank you very much, Saul, for that presentation and for the inspiring work that you are doing in the service to so many thousands, indeed millions of our fellow Africans. Our second recipient of the Nil Nisi Optimum Award is with us today, and I'd like to welcome him and his wife to our assembly. We are very grateful to have you both here, and let's give them both a warm round of Westerford welcome. Councillor Dr. Zahid Badruddin of Westerford's class of 2008 is currently a member of the Cape Town City Council's mayoral committee, heading up the Department of Water and Sanitation. He serves as the political principal tasked with oversight and strategic direction. Zahid has developed a reputation as someone who knows how to roll up his sleeves and to get down to tackling issues getting in the way of quality service delivery to all Cape Townians, especially to those in disadvantaged communities. Dr. Badruddin grew up in Rylands in Cape Town, and after matriculating from Westerford, he went to Stellenbosch University to study medicine. During that time, he became interested in politics and joined the Democratic Alliance. He graduated as a medical doctor in 2015 and worked as an intern at Tygerberg Hospital. In 2016, he worked at Norungile Clinic in Khayelitsha, doing his community service whilst also working for the council after being selected onto the city's public representative list. In 2018, Zahid decided to stop practicing as a medical doctor and to move into politics. At the time, the Daily Voice publication wrote that he turned to politics to help people after experiencing, as he said, horror stories at the clinic. Politics, Zahid said, would provide him with the opportunity to move into a space in which he would be able to influence health policy, which would then have a positive impact on the way people experience the health system. Zahid's meteoric rise in the world of Cape Town politics reached new heights when, in late 2018, at the age of 27, he became the youngest member of the new mayoral committee. In a very short space of time, he has come to be known as a highly efficient, goal-oriented councillor who simply makes things happen. Through his initiatives, through his drive and determination to improve the lives of those whose basic services are far from adequate, his commitment to social justice and upliftment is and has been clear. And although not directly involved now in the area of health policy, his heading up of the water and sanitation portfolio places him in a unique position to tackle key issues affecting the health of thousands upon thousands of impoverished Cape Towners. As a man committed to change and upliftment, a man being that change, we honour Dr. Zahid Badruddin today, a worthy recipient of the Noor Nissi Optimum Award. I now invite Councillor Dr. Badruddin to address us.
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith, all the teachers whose faces I still recognize, class of 1972, the honoured guests and our pupils as well. It has been 14 years since I've sat in this hall as a student of the school that I still remain very proud to be associated with. A school which has instilled in me very important values and lessons that to this day defines who I am, how I see the world around me, and especially how I engage with those around me. In 2004, when I started in grade 8, I sat on the back steps here of this hall, and I remember thinking to myself that I don't know anything. And literally, I didn't know anything at that stage, and there's so much still to learn about myself, what I wanted from my life, where I wanted to be, and what I wanted to achieve with my life. And these are questions still to this day that I have some clarity on, but they remain questions that I hope never become static for long periods of time. We must always want to do more, to achieve more, if not for ourselves, then as our duty to others, whom we will serve in the various spaces that I and you occupy currently, and that we will occupy one day. We must always remember that our privilege to attend this school and your privilege as individuals is something that we must always be mindful of. It is a word and it's a concept that we use and speak about often today. And if we are serious about privilege and being able to introduce social justice across our communities, then we must play an active role in equalizing the playing field across our country and especially our city. And this is a duty that each and every one of us must accept, and a duty that each and every one of us must play a role in achieving. When I started in high school, the concept of privilege wasn't something that we've ever spoken about. It didn't exist. Westerford has progressed so much, often leading other schools to follow. In the early 2000s, and I laugh because it's funny now considering how far the school has come, we debated whether or not girls should be allowed to wear long pants in the winter. We debated whether or not soccer should be a sport that was played at the school. When we were far from realizing what we've seen today and what I see before me. At that stage, we still gave detention for blazers not being worn outside the school. I don't know if that's still being done, in detention also for socks not being pulled up outside the school. These are some of my fond memories, not necessarily giving detention, but the culture of the school at that stage. And if I think back, I remember always preferring to do group work or projects at the homes of my friends, never offering my own home because of the area that I lived in. And because my mother worked 2 jobs, she was not always able to pick us up, me and my siblings, pick us up from school. And I remember walking further down Main Road to take a taxi because I was so embarrassed for people to see that I was climbing into one. There was always pressure to fit in. And I'm so happy to see that at this school we are aspiring towards breaking down these barriers and achieving transformation one step at a time. South Africa is a beautiful country. There's so much opportunity in South Africa. But sadly, not all of us will benefit from this opportunity. Our country still experiences far too high unemployment rates. What is even more scary is that half of the economically active population has no job. And the youth unemployment rate is now 66.5%. I do not mean to scare you with this information. I want to encourage you with this information. Many of you will go on to study at the university of your choice. A number of you will be fortunate enough to take a gap year, and many others may choose to be more ambitious, to adopt more ambitious approaches to their futures. You won't know until you get there. And I certainly didn't know the answers to these questions or where I was going to be. And in matric, I didn't know what I wanted to study at university, but all I knew is that I was passionate about service to my community, which was my school and the area that I lived in. And that service also excited me. Whether I was climbing the roof of this wall, putting up lights and looking at the lighting team, at the sound team at the back there, or whether it was building scaffolding to get lights up on the bar in the hall, or whether it was trying my hand at the school magazine or working on the school's website, I enjoyed every moment of it. As Westerfordians, it is our duty to serve, and this can mean many different things to each one of us sitting here, and that's okay. Not all of us are going to become doctors or politicians or managers or CEOs. It's fine. I hope not all of us become that. Because we need teachers. We need ECD practitioners. We need environmentalists. We need conservationists, entrepreneurs, social workers, and I can go on. We must serve to ensure that we play our roles in order to make a difference to those around us every day. We must be challenged by a passion to serve and especially by this passion to serve others. It should not be a matter of being first, or a matter of being great, or a matter of being important or significant. But if it is, and it is your ambition to be first, or to be great, or to be significant, then let it be your motivation to be first in generosity, be first in moral excellence, be great in your willingness to sacrifice. No one is going to make you great. No one is going to make you excellent. Greatness does not come from favoritism, but fitness and a willingness to serve. This means that everybody can be great, because everybody can serve. You don't need a degree. You don't need anyone to do you favors. You don't need to be the most beautiful, the most intelligent person to serve. As long as you are ready to roll up your sleeves and to keep your hearts filled with grace and with love, you are ready to serve. One thing that is certain is that the youth of our country are standing up. They are being counted, they are voting, they are organizing, and they are marching. Every day there is greater appreciation that young South Africans matter, and that their voices must be heard, and that their actions must be felt with lasting impact. I am inviting each and every one of you here today to become a part of this movement of social change in every neighborhood, in every community. I want to see a new generation of mentors and of role models, young people who find satisfaction in being the best that they can be, so that South Africa and so that our city, Cape Town, can become the best that it can be. Theodore Roosevelt delivered a speech entitled Citizenship in a Republic at the Sorbonne in Paris in 1910. The speech is known as The Man in the Arena. And I want to leave his words as both an invitation and a challenge to each of you sitting in the hall today. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I would like to say thank you to the school, to the teachers, for the immense honor of awarding me the known as the Optimum Award. I accept the challenge that you have all set for me and for every Westerfordian that passes through this hall to do nothing but our best. And in so doing, I hope to continue to make the school proud and all those who are blessed still to walk through these doors in the years to come. Thank you.
I think we can all tell just how deserving you are of this award. Our school motto is nothing but our best, and I think it is safe to say that you have truly embodied this to the fullest extent. As a Westerfordian, we can all aspire to give back to our community and serve like you have. Thank you for your time and for your service.
May you all please stand as I read the school pledge. On behalf of all present, we promise to be loyal to Westerford, trying always to do nothing but our best. Please remain standing for the singing of the South African National Anthem.
Die blauw van onze hemel, uit die diepte van ons